The area around Queenstown, New Zealand, was an early centre of sheep farming and gold mining from the 1860s onward. Queenstown was founded early in the decade by sheep farmer William Gilbert Rees. Gold was discovered at around the same time. City gardens were founded in 1867. California redwoods of various sizes from large to immense are now a feature of the gardens and the wider townscape. Sheep and gold paid for a downtown that looked quite respectable by the end of the 1870s. The very heart of the town, around Icart's private hotel, has hardly changed since that time. Railway lines from Dunedin and Invercargill ended at Kingston, on the southern tip of Lake Wakatipu. The 80-kilometre or 50-mile-long lake became a watery highway along which people sailed further, to the goldfields and sheep farms and to Queenstown as well. Lake steamers used to pull up right at the foot of Queenstown's original main street in the early days. The last, perhaps the loveliest, and certainly the fastest steamer was the Earnslaw, launched in 1912. By that stage the steamers pulled up at a new wharf, where the Earnslaw and other pleasure craft still moor today. Until the late 1960s, the Earnslaw was a utilitarian workhorse that transported everything from sheep and farmers' trucks to tourists and even visiting royalty. Main roads were gradually built along the Queenstown side of the lake, first to Queenstown in the 1930s and then to Glenorchy in the 1960s. And backcountry roads went in on the other side. This meant the steamers were no longer necessary. In the 1960s, the last addition to the lake fleet and its last survivor, the Earnslaw, was nearly scrapped. But the Earnslaw was saved by the forerunners of today's real journeys to continue in service as a commercial tourist attraction. And so the Earnslaw is still, quite literally, in business. Our journey starts the old-fashioned way, by taking on coal for the ship's furnaces. They consume a ton an hour and the coal is shoveled in by hand. Coal's on the way out. But the ship's carbon footprint is modest for what you get. Especially when you consider it's a working steam museum. Cruising to Walter Peak Station and back, 24 kilometers, the Earnslaw uses 3.5 kilograms of coal per passenger when full up. That's the equivalent of 5.5 liters of petrol. The question is, how soon would you use that much up in urban traffic? Plus, it's impossible to overstate just how historic the Earnslaw is, as an example of a fast steamer with hand-fired boilers which is still in service in pretty much its original condition. Perhaps the only closely comparable ship in service is the German-built MV Liember, on Lake Tanganyika. The Liember entered service as the Graf von Gertzen in 1915. It is thought to have inspired the film The African Queen. However, the MV Liember was converted to diesel propulsion in 1970. MV means motor vessel. The TSS, or twin-screw steamer, Earnslaw remains authentic. Like the Gertzen, the Earnslaw was hauled to its lake in pieces and assembled there. You can still see the assembly codes on the plates in the forecastle, which doubles as a sort of museum of the Earnslaw's early days. So without further ado, let's set sail from Queenstown for Walter Peak Station, the run the Earnslaw normally does, several times a day.
shore up out of the water.
Are you taking a video?
So that's dating back to 1868. The TSS Earnslaw used to carry up to 100 tonnes of cargo in the cargo hold. She used to carry up to 1,300 sheep and about 80 cattle.
Up next is Manawa Island, also known as Hidden Island. The island is inconspicuous and low, whence its English name. The island's Maori name, Manawa, refers to the meaning of the word Wakatipu, which may be freely translated as pulsing. The level of the lake rises and falls every few minutes, due to the action of the wind and an organ pipe effect. Manawa means heart, and in legend, the island is the heart of the pulsing lake. The island is the filming site of the scene in the 1988 fantasy film Willow, in which the hero of the title meets the female sorcerer Finraziel, who has been transformed into a sugar glider, an animal that looks a bit like a possum.
There we go, ladies and gentlemen, there's the island. It's not a very big island, as I said, but hence the name Hidden Island. It is actually quite hard to see. So we're coming up to Wakatipu Country Farm now. That was formed in 1860.
It's a very normal trait to allow that males and females get the horns in the Highland parade. And the donkeys and the cows live pretty well together. If the duel gets a bit rowdy, the donkeys give them a bit of a kick. So